friends, come in. The door is always open and the kettle is always on. I'm Vicky, this is Cat Mum Crafts and this is my craft room. Today I'm going to do a yarn review and I'm also going to scratch my nose. I have in my hot little hand 300 grams of Stylecraft Savannah Aran weight in the colourway Step. I'm reading off one, showing you the other. Trying to. Well, that might perhaps get... Nope, there is no good, but that side is better. It is, as I say, Stylecraft Savannah Aran weight. It is... Can't find the instructions at all. 100 grams, 100% cotton, approximately 165 metres or 180 yards. Made in Turkey. Machine washable on 30, tumble dry on cool, May dry clean, iron on cool. I mean, hand wash and lay flat as always, really. UK 7 needles, US 7 needles, 4.5mm, US 7 4.5mm hook. Reshape whilst damp, apparently. And if you knit it, it should come out looking something like that, apparently. So momentarily I'm going to start making something with it. In between times I'm just petting it, and I will let you know how it goes. This is probably only going to be quite a short video, maybe, but also momentarily I do have something else that I need to do, namely find a 4.5mm hook and some of the bits, because I'm batch thinging. Right, so I'll explain my crocheting in a minute, but while I'm thinking about that, I'm going to try and fasten my knitting needles. This is knitting needles, okay. But what's going to happen with my... Oh Lord, help. Okay, well I've just tried to dig out whichever bit's meant to be around the outside, and I appear to have got myself tangled in a bit of a spaghetti, because they put the outside bit in the middle just to keep it tucked away nicely, and of course it got caught in the actual centre. Now that is 100% user error. I'm just going to do a very basic, not even a long tail cast on, just a really basic cast on, just to see how the knitting goes. While I'm doing that, I'll explain the crochet when I pick it up and why it looks so floofly. So the crochet, I'm going to be having a bash at Cinnamon Stitch's new top design that she did with the PL Premier yarn. I can't remember for the life of me what she called it, but it's based on a top she bought from Torrid. I don't know the shop, I'm afraid, but from what I've heard, it is a bit of a gothy alternative shop for maybe not specifically the larger person, but it certainly caters to the cuddly personage. I'll just do a few rows of basic knitting, both in stockinette and the other one. The one where you knit both ways. What's it called? Garter, that's it. So far it's knitting up very nicely. I'm using my Knit Pro balance range. Can't remember what it's actually called. The mindfulness range, with my swizzle cords, 4.5mm needles, just on a little cord. As I say, this is going to get frogged as part of this anyway, because it's all going to go into a crochet top. I probably randomly cast on far too many there. Just because I wasn't really thinking about it. But thus far, apart from my knitting being... Why have you gone behind in front? My knitting being always a bit floobly to start with. Floobly is a fantastic word. I like it. It just means a bit all over the shop. Normally, I would use a size down. But I just thought for knitting I would follow the recommended size. Well, I don't know, because my gauge is kind of weird. I prefer like half a size up for my crochet. Apart from amigurumi, where most people, if you like, for example, if you're amigurumiing with double knit, most people use a 3.5mm. I use a 3, or even a 2.5, 2 sometimes. It depends on, really, on even on the DK yarn and how I'm feeling at the time. But it's mainly a 3 I use. For amigurumi, I normally use a 3.5 for fingering weight, 4.5 for DK, and Aran, it does normally depend whether I use a 5 or a 5.5 crocheting wise. So yeah, that kind of depends really, but for knitting it's again a 3 for fingering weight, okay, pretty much the same actually, 4 for sport, 4.5 for DK, but this is 4.5 on an Aran, and it really does. Actually, no, I 4 on a DK and sport. I don't know. Depends on the yarn, depends on my day, depends on, well, not depend on the day, on the project. But this does feel, 4.5 feels a bit odd for this. But that's what the instructions said, so that's what we'll do. I'll do another row or 2 on this. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to pop you on time lapse. A couple of rows of garter, down at the bottom, look, and a couple of rows of stockinette. Honestly, I like it. It knits up really nicely. It's a little bit splitty, but I find 100% cottons often are, if they're not mercerized, you know, where they make it shiny. I do feel like the 4.5 makes a bit of a looser gauge, looser fabric. So for me, I'd probably have to do it on a 4. Thank you, person outside who's doing some loud stuff. Please excuse me. So, having shut every window on the upstairs of my house, on this side at least, sorry, I've got a stuffy nose. Yeah, for me, if I'm going to buy this again, it needs to be on a smaller needle or somebody who has a tighter gauge. Either way. The question is, how doth it frog? And then I'll grab a 4.5 hook. Oh, crochet it, knitting frogs nicely. Fall in and off. What do you know? Top of the convenient, wasn't it? Alrighty. So I'll do a smaller one this time. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Plus 1 for good luck, and to turn. Sorry, that's what I was humming to myself while I was doing my knitting before. I was singing La Bamba to myself. As you do. As I do anyway. See, now that you're actually watching me crochet, and I'm very acutely aware that you're watching me crochet, because the whole point of this is that you're watching me crochet. Right, okay. So while it frogs nicely, it does catch little bits. So this is going to have to be, this particular ball is going to have to be buried well within the project. But that's not to worry, it's a project I'm making for me anyway, so... I've got an itchy nose. Sorry, you didn't need to know that. It's like, I need to stop randomly singing to myself. You lot do not need that. And now I've got Thomas the Tank Engine. See, this is what happens when you're in your house all day on your own. Get off. I'm just doing half doubles, which is my favourite of the basic stitches, just to see how it goes. Ah, why? Why is my nose itching? Ah! Probably lots of little cotton particles floating around. That's probably what it is. Oh well. Okay. So yeah, see, it goes a little bit fluffy and clingy, but it flows nicely. I don't think you'd be wanting to frog it too many times before it becomes unusable. But other than that, it's quite nice. In a bit, I'll add onto the end some absent-minded crocheting when I'm not sitting thinking about it, just to see how it goes when, because obviously your tension and what have you is different when you are sitting thinking about it. Because I'm using a 6.5 to make, as I said, I think the Cinnamon Stitches top. Which is making it look a bit gappy. This is only the first row, so with any luck it will tidy itself up in a bit. Yeah, I think it must be cotton fibres, you know, because I can feel them every time I mess about with it. So, TLDR, a bit splitty, molts a bit. Do you know what? I'm absolutely covered in assorted fluffs from various different things. Right, okay, a bit splitty, molts a little bit. Don't think it will take too many pulling aparts and putting back togethers. Very soft though, beautifully soft. So would work for wearables if you've got more patience, I think. Certainly softer than, say, the DMC Natura and Rico Cotton Creative, which are both other Aran yarns. So yeah, softer than that. Would I buy it again? If I needed cotton Aran for wearables and I couldn't find anything else, yes. If I had the choice of lots of other things, no. That is honest opinion, just because I thought it was pretty. So with that in mind, at the end I'll stick on just some absent-minded, see and if that changes my opinion of it, I will of course tell you. It's nice, it's not brilliant, is my honest feeling of it. But if I don't pop up and tell you, obviously my opinion of it hasn't changed. And I will see you in the next one. In the meantime, look after yourself, because if you don't look after number one, you can't look after everybody else. And as to everybody else, in the immortal words of Bill and Ted, be excellent to one another. Bye-bye. Okay, that's been 20 minutes of it working absent-mindedly. I've got it on my little yarn stand. It's coming off its little cake really nicely, but it's molting fibres left, right and centre, and that's what's making my nose itch, I've realised. Works up nicely, comes off the cake nicely, but it molts fibres and it's splitty. Genuinely, I would not get it again unless I absolutely needed Aran cotton yarn for a clothing item, and I couldn't find any other that was soft enough. So I will pause a minute and find out what I paid. I know I bought it off of eBay, and I don't know if you can get it anywhere else, so I'll find that out in a minute. Okay, I paid £5.15 plus postage off of eBay. I think the postage on it was £2.95, but I bought 3 balls plus 2 balls of Stylecraft Simply Soft. Is it Stylecraft Simply Soft? Cotton Simply Soft. I've not got one with a ball band anywhere. But anyway, more Stylecraft. Cotton DK stuff, plain white. I found it on Wool Warehouse, which I know ships internationally, for £5.19. My brain won't work out the exchange rate on that for dollars, but maybe like $6 or $7 a roll. In my humble opinion, not worth it, but I am going to continue with these 3 cakes and make what am I making with it? I've already told you what I'm making with it. Cinnamon Stitches Torrid. Is it Torrid? I can't remember. Cinnamon Stitches top that she's done with the Premier thing. Anyway, so that's me for today. I will see you in the next video, and in the meantime, look after yourselves, because if you can't look after yourself, you can't look after anybody else. And in the immortal words of Bill and Ted, be excellent to one another. Bye.